We're starting off 2026 with a banger Smackdown. Surprisingly, we just had the first 3-hour Smackdown of 2026, and yeah, it was actually a pretty good show. It wasn't the best one, but I do feel like it was a really good setup show to set up future Smackdowns. We got new people introduced to the brand, and a lot of really good things happen here. The thing that kind of kicked the show off, Randy Orton doing his big return during the Miz promo, obviously hitting a RKO out of nowhere. Then later on backstage, you see him talking to Cody Rhodes, mentioning that he is going after that world title after Drew McIntyre is finished. So what do you think of the big return of Randy Orton here?
Yeah, I think it's really nice to have Randy back. It feels like we've been missing a lot of top guys on the SmackDown brand. Obviously, there's not too much there already, so missing one of the big ones in Randy Orton is going to be very missed. So yeah, I'm glad he is back. Him kind of throwing his name in the hat of being the next opponent for Cody, I think is a good move. Obviously, I hope Cody isn't the champion after the match with Drew, just because I feel like Drew deserves this win. It's been a while now, but we'll kind of get into that a little bit later on. But yeah, Randy, I'm glad to be back. Hopefully, we get some more just consistency from him. I think obviously with injuries kind of happening and just him doing his own thing here and there, it's kind of hard to find that time. But I feel like in 2026 you might see a little bit more of Randy, considering it. He'll be kind of winding down over these next few years as well.
Yeah, he got a big reaction, of course, from his return. A lot of people on social media talking about it. I know WWE mentioned they had whatever amount of millions of clicks on Randy Orton's return. He had like 100 million views on his return, maybe more, whatever it was. But yeah, so a lot of hype surrounding Randy Orton right now, especially going after Cody Rhodes and that world title. Will there be a heel Cody Rhodes, a heel Randy Orton? Will something happen of that nature? I guess we'll find out in the near future if Cody even has that title when it comes around. But on to the second surprise of the night. We have the returning Matt Cardona, debuting as Matt Cardona on SmackDown, officially signed to the roster, going against Kit Wilson in a pretty good match. I like Kit Wilson's kind of new thing he has going on, where he's kind of trying to be this tough guy kind of thing. It's almost like Anthony Bowen's kind of thing that he tried to do, sort of in a way like that. But obviously it's Kit Wilson, and it's just a little bit more funny. As a new Tron, new music, everything about it is pretty good, and I feel like he's someone who could like lose to a lot of people but still get himself over in a certain way, in like a comedy way, but still good in ring as well. So I do like the big return of Matt Cardona. Happy that he actually is Matt Cardona and not Zack Ryder, of course. Happy for Chelsea Green. So yeah, big thing happening here.
Yeah, I'm glad that Cardona is officially in WWE. It's obviously been the goal for him ever since he was released, or however that ended up happening. But yeah, I'm glad he is back. I think him being on the SmackDown roster will be another good body to have. Obviously, I don't think he'll be a world champion, at least anytime soon, but I think he could be somebody who can go after the United States champion, who'll have some matches. He can play both sides of either being a heel or a face. It feels like they're going to start him off as a face, which I don't mind. Also being new in the company still, but yeah, I think eventually we'll see kind of Cardona get things kicking off, and I think he'll be in that United States champion picture pretty soon.
Yeah, I think that would be a very good role for him. That's always kind of like a good stepping stone to kind of give somebody. You give them that U.S. title run, and then you hope that kind of elevates them to whatever the next title is, and the next title, and it just kind of goes up from there. But we are not done with the surprises yet, because Sami Zayn then comes to the ring saying, you know what, he is ready for that world title. He says he doesn't know why he hasn't been, able to get the opportunity that a lot of other people have gotten, but he is ready 2026 to take it over, and he's coming after the world title. But before he could even finish his promo, we got Trick Williams maybe debuting. It's not official yet, I guess, but it seems as if it is official, and he will be part of the SmackDown roster, because he does come down to the ring saying that SmackDown was missing some flavor, and Sami Zayn responds saying that he needs to be humbled, pretty much setting up a match with them next week. You could probably count on that. But really big kind of debut from Trick Williams, big response from the crowd, and I think everyone was very excited about this.
Yeah, I think this is a very good introduction to Trick Williams to the WWE main roster fans. I think this kind of captured everything that he was able to do at NXT, but now doing on a bigger stage on SmackDown now. I think will be a good. I think it's a good person to have as well, going against Sami Zayn to kind of kick things off into this build up to Royal Rumble. Obviously, Sami Zayn feels like somebody who could be a winner potentially. But yeah, Trick Williams being on the SmackDown brands again, similar to what I said for Cardona and Randy to be back. I think I just had another more depth to that roster that very much needs it right now, especially on the men's side. So yeah, I'm glad that Trick is there. And yeah, the match I think between Sami and Trick is not than I think I wanted in the past, but I am excited to see what that holds for us because I think it will be a pretty solid match. But yeah, next week we have Trick Williams and Ray Phoenix in Berlin, so we'll see him for sure next week.
Yeah, so a lot of really good stuff coming from Trick Williams. He definitely felt like a star on the night, and a lot of good stuff that you could do with him in the future, especially with Carmelo Hayes being on top of his game there, doing the United States Open Challenge and things of that nature. So you can probably expect a match with those two in the near future as well. So already on SmackDown, we got 3 big moments happen. Randy Orton, Matt Cardona, Trick Williams, Sami Zayn coming after the world title, Randy coming after the world title, but we're still not done yet because the 4th new person or potential new person to the SmackDown roster was Jordynne Grace. She appeared in a backstage segment where she was talking to Nick Aldis. Then Chelsea Green kind of comes in and erupts her and sort of kicks her out of the office. Then a little bit later on, you also see her talking to Jade Cargill, running into her backstage, and Jade Cargill kind of disrespecting her. So kind of setting up, a few settings for her to kind of get into and kind of come into seamlessly into the SmackDown division with things already set up for her to kind of get into. So very excited for Jordynne Grace.
Yeah, I love Jordynne Grace being added to this roster as well. Obviously, we kind of haven't had too many new opponents for the United States Champion and the Women's Champion on SmackDown as of late. Obviously, Jade still hasn't had a defense just yet with the title. We're going to have that match with Michin, but that ended up getting canceled because of Michin's shoulder injury. So yeah, now that Jordynne Grace is there, obviously I think a good setup is that Jade Cargill match. I think Jordynne Grace, obviously coming from NXT, isn't the biggest of threats, but if you know about Jordynne Grace, if you've seen her work before, you know that she does have that potential to beat her in the ring. So I think it will be a very good match. Hopefully that's something that we might get to see at Royal Rumble itself or at the Saturday Night's main event the week beforehand. So yeah, I think that'd be a really fun match. Or if we go around the Chelsea Green route, I think that's a very fun opportunity there, whether that's to help her out or to go against her. I think it should be some pretty good feuds for her.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff for Jordynne Grace. I've been wanting this for a while. I even kind of pitched the idea a while back for her to be part of the Secret Service, but obviously I was before they added kind of funny members, more of a comedy members. I thought somebody kind of serious that could kind of be the head of the security, so to say, and be the person that actually beats people up and things of that nature. I thought that would have been a good idea, but now it seems like she'll be going against Chelsea Green, so that's very interesting as well. But we're going on to the best match of the night. Carmelo Hayes continues the open challenge versus Johnny Gargano, and yeah, he defeats Johnny Gargano. They had a lot of interference from Candice LeRae during that match, but it did not really matter because Carmelo Hayes does hit the nothing but net to finish him off and win.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're continuing this open challenge kind of lineage right now. I think it adds for a good match pretty much every week, especially with the guys who've been able to help the belt over the past few months, and Sammy, then Ilya, and now Carmelo. Yeah, it's a very nice kind of refreshing taste. We have guys like Johnny Gargano who are getting opportunities, which I think is something that's very kind of needed. I'm glad that some of these tag team guys are going to the singles division a little bit more. So yeah, I'm glad that we have some good matches pretty much every week now guaranteed through this open challenge, and I hope it continues because I think that is where SmackDown is really lacking the most in terms of match quality, where you might have some good segments, but the matches have been pretty weak for quite a while now. But now with Carmelo could continue this lineage of the open challenge, I think we'll be in for a lot of good matches.
Yeah, and the good matches don't stop because our next one, we have a really good segment between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes here. We see Drew McIntyre appear on the screen with Cody Rhodes being in the ring to announce the 3 stages of hell stipulations, and he does announce those stipulations being the first one, a singles match, second one, falls count anywhere, and the third being the old school steel cage. He specifically mentioned old school, so I don't know if that means the blue one that's the hard steel bars, or I'm not exactly sure what he means by that, but I guess we'll see very shortly. But he does then say that he was on Cody Rhodes' bus and he found a picture of Dusty and Cody together. Obviously that pisses off Cody Rhodes. He starts running to the back to find Drew. He then appears in the ring with the picture and a lighter in hand. He starts burning it. Cody runs back to the ring, but obviously he cannot attack him because if he does, he would lose his world title due to the stipulation being on him before the match happened. So yeah, a lot of really good stuff here, setting up a big sort of blood feud kind of thing to kind of regain a lot of heat for Drew McIntyre since this feud has lasted quite a long time. But it was a good segment and I did really like it, and it does get you that little bit more excited heading into this match.
Yeah, like I said earlier, when we talked about Randy Orton going after Cody next, I do still think, and I do want Drew McIntyre to be the next world champion. I want him to beat Cody in this 3 stages of hell. As for the stipulation, I think it is a good one. I like the steel cage being the final match. I think it's a good setup. But the falls count anywhere, I think I would rather something a little bit more maybe hardcore. I think falls count anywhere can have that ability to be it. But I wish there was something a little bit more extreme, kind of to set it up a little bit better. But yeah, I think the matches overall are solid. I maybe would have changed a few things, but I get it. It's a SmackDown at the end of the day. It's nothing going to be this crazy hardcore, tons of blood and tags and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm glad that we do have at least a steel cage. That should be a pretty good ending of that match. So yeah, it should be pretty cool. But yeah, Drew getting a little bit of heat here. I'm glad that you're kind of getting this feud a little bit built up now. And like I said, hopefully we walk out with that world champion on Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, it wasn't looking good for Drew McIntyre for quite a while, but I think him winning this will sort of erase all of that, and I think people will forget about that very quickly once he has that world title around his waist. But there's another person with a new title around her waist, or at least a familiar title around her waist, and that is Julia defeating Chelsea Green to regain the U.S. title, being a now 2-time U.S. champion, defeating a 2-time U.S. champion in the very short lineage of this U.S. title. We already have multiple 2-time champions, so kind of funny to see considering what's happening on the Raw side of things, an Intercontinental title. But this is good for Julia. I do agree with her winning the title back. I don't think it was a matter of her really having matches that were bad or anything, because the matches were decent nonetheless. None of them were really bad matches. It's just that they didn't put her in the ring with the right people, with the good people. Like throw her in there with Jordan Grace. I want to see that match for sure. Do a 7-game series, whatever you want to do, just like Melo and Andrade did. There's a lot of cool things you could do with Julia, and I don't think it's over for her at all.
Yeah, I'm glad that Julia does regain the championship here. I think it kind of sets her up again to hopefully have a better run than obviously last time. Last time it felt like it ended short. I think Zelina was the one who took it off of her. But yeah, I think this run could be a lot better, and I hope for Chelsea Green this elevates her to go to that world championship next, whether it's in Jade Cargill or if Jordan Grace gets the match before him. We see Jordan take the belt off her. I would like to see that match as well. But either way, I'm glad that Julia is a champion again. Hopefully, like I said, we get something similar to what we're getting on the men's side with the United States champion with some type of open challenge. Obviously, they don't have as much of a depth on the SmackDown roster in the women's side, so I guess you can't do it too much, but I think there is some people you can run matches for Julia to kind of set up this U.S. Champion that hasn't been built the best. Not bad, but I think it could be a lot better. I think Julia could bring it to bigger and better heights.
Yeah, I think, put her in matches with Jordan Grace, call up JC Jane as well, let her have matches with her. There's a ton of people you could call up. A lot of women on the NXT side, I think, should be called up, and women from Raw should come. There's a lot of things that WWE could and should do leading up to this 2026 year that I'm hoping will be very good. But to end the night, we do have our main event being an ambulance match between Aleister Black and Damian Priest. Obviously, this is a very long feud, one that isn't really exciting. It's not a match I was excited for going into it, even though they do have a cool stipulation. I'm typically a fan of ambulance matches and things like that. However, this one, just being the people who it is, I just wasn't very excited. But there was a few cool spots in here. One of them being when Rhea Ripley sort of appeared in the back. We've seen Zelina try to help out Aleister Black by opening up the door for him, where Rhea Ripley then appeared and kind of kicked their ass and kind of took her out of the equation, letting it be an official one-on-one match from then on. We also seen a Razor's Edge onto the ambulance windshield from Damian Priest, and then also a chokeslam from Damian Priest onto Aleister Black off of the ambulance and through a table, or at least it was kind of a choke. It was a mid chokeslam. He sort of pushed him off more than a chokeslam, I guess. But yeah, the match was pretty mid. It wasn't really the best, to be honest. I was expecting a little bit more, but at the same time, I wasn't. So I guess I expected it to be exactly what it was.
Yeah, this match, this feud kind of has been one of those ones that's like, it's cool. I'm glad these guys are getting something to do on SmackDown. They're definitely deserving of it, but it hasn't been the most interesting. But for this night, I think the promo packages kind of going into the night were good for them. They were both talking their own segments throughout the night, but the match itself wasn't the worst. I think it could have been a lot better, obviously, but I think it was your kind of typical ambulance match. You have some big spots here and there. I like the spot with the Razor's Edge through the front glass on the ambulance. That was kind of cool, but yeah, overall, glad that Damian Priest walks out on top. I think you will probably see him back into the world title picture potentially, whether that is Drew who gets the belt or if it's Cody. I think that's just a good name to have there, as well as Aleister Black. I think we'll see him be around obviously a lot more, but maybe he'll go to the United States champion picture instead.
Yeah, I think once the title is off of Cody Rhodes, because Cody Rhodes is just such a big name, and he's not just gonna wrestle really just anyone. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be a person of a certain stature, I guess. At least in WWE's eyes, it's not how I view it, by the way. But yeah, in WWE's eyes, it has to be a person of a certain like stature to really face a big name like a Cody Rhodes. However, if the title was on a Drew McIntyre, I think he'll be a type of person that'll defend that title versus Aleister Black, a Damian Priest, and whoever others it may be. Maybe even a Montez Ford could get a shot versus a Drew McIntyre. But yeah, really good SmackDown to end the night. As I mentioned, it wasn't the absolute best, craziest SmackDown that you just have to watch, but it was a promising SmackDown that leads to a promising 2026. And the 3 hours was something that people were like, oh my God, this is going to be very bad. But it wasn't. They definitely improved and they made the right adjustments that they had to, introducing new people to the roster. And yeah, it was a pretty good SmackDown. Hopefully, we could get more of these in the future. But we appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.